What a wintry sight. What a wintry sight. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Cheryl Howard, your inspirational and transformation strategist, where I help others break through barriers and propel into purpose, and that is men and women. And some of those barriers can be in our relationships and the way that we think, our surroundings, our past experiences as well. Sometimes we are held captive to our past experience. Thanks for joining in. Our past experience, and sometimes that cripple us and prevent us from moving forward and living life with more purpose and more meaning and enhancing the qualities of our lives. So this is what I do as a brand strategist, speaker, and coach. And so I wanted to take this little quick lunch break to talk about one of the main areas that I deal with a lot when it comes to clients, whether I'm doing counseling or coaching, is helping them to break or to, I don't want to say break, but yeah, break sabotaging behaviors. But the other thing I was going to mention was defeating negative thoughts, things that do not help them, things that are not fruitful, they're not productive, they're not helpful. They're actually called unhelpful thinking because they do not help you. They actually deplete, they actually hold you captive, those thoughts that hold you captive to moving forward. And when you have unhelpful thinking, it affects every area of life in a negative way. And so that's why a lot of times we have to start with the mind. And you hear this a lot. Change your mindset. There have to be a mind shifting going on, but it's so true. And because I am a Christian-based counselor, I often refer to scripture. And one of the main scriptures I like to refer to is the scripture that talks about renewing the mind, 2 Corinthians, renewing the mind so that you can prove, so you can operate in, secularly speaking, operate in a healthy way, living your life that's more productive and that's more happy for you and more joyful and have a better experience in life instead of the opposite. A lot of times it goes back to our way of thinking. Again, our thoughts, what we think of, how we process information, how we perceive information has a lot to do with our development, our experiences, even trauma that affect us. And so that help you to form your way of thinking and your belief, your core beliefs, what you actually feel and believe inside, which is not necessarily truth. A lot of times they're lies based on our experiences. So we have to break all of that before we can even move on to living in our purpose and living meaningful lives and making an impact on other people's lives. So thanks for joining in again. Again, if you want to know more about me or connect with me or even sign up for my 20-minute power chat, and I have 2 power chats. One is talking about helping you with the unhelpful and unfruitful thinking. So it's basically focused on transforming the mind, your mindset. And the other one is purpose driven. It's about purpose and passion and learning how to monetize your purpose and passion. But first discovering what your purpose and passion is, helping you to get clarity on what it is, and then help you to unfold those gifts, those talents that are lying dormant that you may not be aware of, or you are aware of. However, there's something that's stopping you and preventing you from moving in them, whether it's fear, trauma, or anything that's keeping you from enjoying life. And what helps you to enjoy life is when you're actually operating your purpose, when you're doing things that you love to do, when you do things that you have a passion for. It helps you to feel good about living, and that's what it's all about. So go to www.cherylyhoward.com. That is cherylyhoward.com. Connect with me. I'll be so excited to have a power session with you. They are so helpful. I have had a couple lately, and people are on fire. And I know everybody's making New Year's resolution, and we need to just make daily resolutions. We just need to focus on, and I like to do it in increments, doing one thing at a time. Like, what am I going to do today to make my day great and make it better for tomorrow? Important. Okay, quickly, I want to get into the unfruitful, unhelpful, and unproductive thinking. I talk about this a lot, but today I want to give you strategies to help you transform your thinking, ways that you can transform your thinking, and so that you can begin to develop a healthy mindset, a mind shift. So you'll be mind shifting as you implement these strategies. Let me put my workbook up because I was actually doing a little work in the car as well while I'm sitting here. Okay, so let's break through some of these self-defeating thoughts and this bad thinking. And some of you probably will identify with a lot of the ways that I'm going to mention that we think. And I'm a witness. Some of these I've battled with before and have overcome them. But I will admit that one of my strengths is optimism, is positive thinking. And so because I understand the power of it and the positive transformation it can have in your life, because I've applied it to myself, I'm sharing it with you today. And one of the things, I got my little notes here so I won't forget, because I don't want to be all over the place. One of the ways sometimes that we think that keep us from moving forward is always thinking about nothing thinking. It's nothing thinking, empty thinking. Sometimes we call it black and white thinking. It's like either I do it right or not at all. So a lot of times this kind of thinking stops you from moving forward. You won't propel to move forward, because it's like, if I don't get it right, then I'm not doing it at all. So you're scared to make a mistake. And one thing that's important when you're trying to live in your purpose, whether it's ministry, whether it's a business, a career, whatever it is you're trying to do in life, whatever goal you're trying to achieve, you can't always expect to do it perfect from the gate. That's just not reality. You have to be willing to make mistakes, taking risks. That's what life is about. Whether you get married, whether you go to school, whether you have children and begin parenting, you're taking risk. But you can't go into it with that mentality of, if I don't do this right, I'm not going to do it at all. Because you would never step out and do anything. So that is called empty thinking. That is called nothing thinking. And you don't have time to operate with that time of thinking. You won't move anywhere. You won't do anything. You won't take any chances. The other thing is overgeneralization, and a lot of us can identify with that. You're seeing a pattern based on one single event, because something that happened in the past with you, that one event you based everything in the future on. Every decision, every opportunity that comes your way, you always go back to that one incident. And because you had a bad experience in that incident, you allow that to dictate your moving forward. A lot of us do that. So your mentality will be more like everything is always rubbish. That's negative. Nothing good ever happens, because you've tried things over and over again and you have come to the conclusion that nothing good ever happens. When you start thinking that way and you start speaking that, guess what? You'll stay stuck right there, and you'll stay stuck in that thought process, and you will not move past that. Again, holding you back. Is unfruitful, it's unhelpful, it doesn't help any, and it's unproductive. It's unhealthy. So based on that one pattern, you're overgeneralizing or being overly broad in your conclusions. This has nothing to do with that necessarily. Another thing is mental filter. Going through a mental filter, only paying attention to certain types of evidence, noticing your failures but not seeing your successes. So you're focused again on the things that did not work, but you're not looking at the successes. You're not thinking about the possibilities. There are possibilities. And maybe one of the things you can do to help you think better in that situation is invest in yourself. Educate yourself on, say it's a particular goal you're trying to achieve. You want to start a business. So educate yourself on the steps you need to take to start a business. Maybe or perhaps you have missed a step before, so you're going to do it again. And this way you will move forward. So don't pay attention to just a particular evidence, or maybe somebody else failed, and because they didn't succeed at what they were doing, then you just assume or come to the conclusion that it's not going to work for you as well. And that's negative as well. Not good. That person's experience may not be your experience. And so what, again, if you fail and make a mistake, guess what? Is a learning process. And I always talk about, again, it goes back to how you perceive things. Until you learn how to change, you will never be able to perceive things in a positive way. You will never be able to walk in optimism, because your mind is always what if. And I'm going to come back again in another scope and talk about the what ifs, turning your negative ifs into positive ifs. Like, you think about the worst thing, and I'm going to talk about decatastrophization. You make everything a catastrophe, but let's decatastrophize those situations, especially things that haven't even happened yet. And you're already worried about the unknown, the unseen, the thing that didn't even happen yet. Another way of unhelpful thinking is disqualifying the positive. You disqualify again the good. So this is moving right along as we talk about getting rid of the unhelpful thinking. You already disqualify the good. You always see the negative. So you're very pessimistic in your thinking, discounting everything negative. Everything good, things that happen or that you have done. Thanks for joining in, brand new Robert. Good to see you. Things you have done for one reason or another that doesn't count. Discount all of that stuff. You know what? Transforming your mind means that you're trying to become that new person again, that biblical principle of renewing the mind, forgetting those old things and propelling forward. You need to start thinking forward. So let's move with that. Thinking forward, forgetting the past, leaving those things which are behind. Guess what? You are a new person, new mind, new thinking, new concept. I guarantee you, when you start thinking that way, you open yourself up to new things, new opportunity. You even attract those people who are like-minded in a positive way. And guess what? Once you start operating with the new mind, you no longer want to associate yourself with those who still think with the old thinking. Now, the positive thing is maybe you'll be the one to be able to help them, just like I'm doing now, because I understand some of these types of thinking that are negative, the self-defeating thoughts. They are not helpful at all. So if you want to propel forward, if you want to think forward and move forward, you have to renew the mind. You have to change the way you think about things. You have to change the way you perceive things. You perceive information and the way you process information. Another unhelpful thinking is you always jump to conclusions. And you know, this is a lot of us. You jump to conclusions. You move from, instead of saying 2 + 2 is 4, you got 2 + 2 = 5. You like way ahead again. That is so unhelpful. So there are two key types of jumping to conclusions. Mind reading, imagining we know what others are thinking. I always talk a lot about self-concept, what you think others or what you feel others think about you. This is the same thing. Imagining what others are thinking about you. And a lot of times they're false. They are false. And so that holds you back. Then a second one is storytelling or fortune telling. Fortune telling, predicting the future. So you're already trying to predict things. Again, it could be based on past experience and past failures. But remember, you're doing things differently. Understand that the most successful person has so many failures. If you was to hear their story, you'll be dumbfounded. Like, wow, I thought it was just me. But the difference is they had tenacity. They had faith. They was determined. They was more afraid of staying crippled than being successful, than moving ahead. And that's how I feel. Like, I'm more afraid of not growing and not living my best life, becoming my best self, living a prosperous and productive life than for me to move forward. So that's what it's all about, guys. I got about 4 more here, and then we're going to wrap this up. Magnification, catastrophizing again, or minimization. How many of us minimize our input, our own knowledge? Sometimes you have the answer. Sometimes you're intellectual, you're intelligent about a certain things, but you minimize yourself to make other people feel better. And I know a few people who are like that. They'll be in a crowd and they'll have these wonderful solutions to problems. But guess what? And because they have a fear of being valued, or that what they have to say is valuable, they would dummy down themselves and won't say anything or won't do anything or won't have any input. That is minimizing yourself. That's devaluing yourself, actually. So, and another one is blowing things out of proportion. Again, catastrophizing a situation or inappropriately shrinking something to make it seem less important. Thank you. So it is so true with people. And sometimes we shrink things and make it less important than what it is. We have to stop doing this, people. Stop blowing things out of proportion. You see where I'm going? The catastrophizing, it's like a theme that you walk in. You catastrophize every situation, every thought. And you don't allow yourself to live in them. You don't allow yourself to take risk. Say it, speak it. So what if somebody corrects you? So what? You know what? That's all part of learning and growing. The best teachers I had in life was the ones who challenged me. And I always gleaned and I always felt more closer to those teachers that I had when other students were like, I don't like that teacher. They seem mean or they seem, but what it really is, you didn't like the challenge. You don't like the challenge. That's what it was. I like the challenge because at the end of the day, I always wanted to be a better person. I always wanted to think on a higher level. So I need to be around those thought people, those thinkers, those theorists who pull me up to the next level. That's how you become a better person. Emotional reasoning. This is a good one. Assuming that because you feel a certain way that everything must be true. I feel embarrassed, so I must be an idiot. Not true. Not true, because you feel embarrassed. You may just feel embarrassed because you might have had a different idea or a different concept. Thanks for joining in. Or a different opinion. It's okay. But don't feel embarrassed because you assume that you're an idiot or you're dumb or you're devaluing your thought, you're devaluing your value, what you bring, your concept, your solutions, your experience. Don't devalue it. You know what? What I'm speaking right now may not be helpful to everybody, but I guarantee you it's helpful for somebody, because there's so many people that I come into contact with. I can tell by talking with them. It's their core beliefs and it's their thoughts that keep them from forming healthy relationships, starting their businesses, taking risks, even getting married. They stay stuck right there and they will not move. So I have to do a whole strategizing plan to help them change the way they think so they can change the way they feel, change the way they feel so they can move along. Another one is the should, must, using those words that are like concrete, using critical words like should, must, ought can make, you know what, that's being critical. A lot of times people that I come into contact with have this problem because they deal with a lot of people who were negative towards them. They were always critical of everything that they've done. They always said something negative. And so that word tends to cripple them. Using critical words like should, must, or ought can make you feel guilty or like we have already failed. So you won't even try because you feel like you already failed. You must do this. You should do that. If you apply shoulds to other people, the result is often frustration. You become frustrated when you do that as well. And because when you do it to somebody else, it's negative towards them as well. You should. You know what? That's also a negative trigger for somebody. When you're having a productive conversation with somebody, when you're conversing with someone and you start using those type of critical words, guess what? A lot of times that will keep a person from communicating with you. That will keep other people from opening up to you because of those words. Those actually trigger a negative response to you, and you may mean well, but those are not the best words to use. Sometimes they could be a little too aggressive. Another thing is ascribing labels. So a lot of times people ascribe labels to us, or we label ourselves in a negative way, assigning labels to ourselves or other people. For example, I'm a loser. I'm completely useless. They are such an idiot. Again, you know how the saying hurt people. So if you're not healed in this particular place and you've been, like I said, you've grown up or you've been around people who are very critical of you, a lot of times you may not realize it subconsciously, but you end up projecting that same spirit on somebody else and you cause the next person to end up feeling or thinking the same way that you do. So we're trying to break up this cycle and something that can be generational in a negative way. And the last one I want to mention is personalization. This is my fault. This is me. It was me. I did it. Automatically allowing yourself or treating yourself as the scapegoat. Blaming yourself just to make other people feel good, or because you're so used to, again, feeling guilty or walking around in self-condemnation, you condemn yourselves more than other people do. And people see that and it's unattractive as well. So blaming yourself, taking responsibility for something that wasn't completely your fault just to make other people feel good. Aren't you tired of letting other people off the hook? And you taking all of that in and you're internalizing it and you walk around being the victim all the time on yourself. You're self-inflicting. or you're inflicting yourself. So you completely blame yourself, conversely blaming other people for something that was your fault. So that's the opposite side of it as well. So anyway, those are just a few things I wanted to go over today about having unhelpful thinking. And those strategies, I want you to try to use those strategies every day. Try to think about things different. Don't think about the worst case scenario. You know, when I talked about the what ifs, so okay, don't always think about what if this happened, something bad happened, but what if this happened? You know, and I'm going to talk about that on my Facebook Live coming up Thursday, when I want to talk about transformational thinking and give more strategies on how you can actually do that. Thank you so much. I was kind of all over the place, but I was trying to get everything out because this is kind of a spontaneous broadcast, but it's so helpful to start at the basics, the basis of our thinking. And when we start doing that and we start seeing changes and seeing how we start attracting, you know, it changes your life, and you put yourself in a better, give yourself a better opportunity to surround yourself with healthy thinkers, other healthy thinkers as well. And then you start saying, well, I didn't do this a long time ago, but sometimes you needed somebody to point it out to you as well. And, you know, a lot of these things happen during a coaching or counseling session when you have the aha moments and you realize, wow. And a lot of times, yes, we're going to discover that our thinking a lot of times comes from the way we were brought up, our parents, family members, and not accusing them or blaming them, but understand they have their journey as well. So we're not going to stay stuck there where you're blaming your parents or you're blaming people who's been around in your life as you were developing, as you were growing up, during your childhood. You're not going to play the blame game, because we all have a story. We all have the reasons behind the way we think about things or why we do things a certain way. So again, that's part of moving on, getting out of that blame as well. But anyway, I want to invite you to my Thursdays. Every Thursday, I come on live on Facebook, unless something distracts me, live, and have discussions on different themes. We had talked about healthy relationships. Last month was focus on goal setting and goal planning. This month and perhaps next month, I want to talk about transformation. Not only transformation with our mind, but transformation with our finances, transformation in our health, transformation with our wealth, transformation in our relationships, and the strategies to help us transform those areas. And it always starts with us, and then we can help transform other people. Or by our transformation, we can have a positive impact on others, because guess what? A lot of times we learn by example. We learn by watching from other people. Some of the greatest lessons I've learned came from me observing other people, because I've been one to always observe behaviors. That's just, and you know, that's why I do what I do. Understanding, not coming from a place of judgment, but understanding why and how, and coming up with a solution. So I hope this broadcast is very helpful. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful purple hearts, and purple is my favorite color. You came in the right time, Brother Robert. Thank you for joining in. I hope some of this was helpful to you. I really, really, really want to see you live a healthy, holistic, wholeness life. No longer walking in things that cripple you, that keep you stuck in every area and facet of your life. But it is time, you know, again, a lot of people have these New Year's resolutions. Well, how about starting with transformation? That's always key. That's always number one. Before you do anything else, you have to have a mindset. You have to have a mind shift. Thank you so much. And I am going to upload this to YouTube and probably Facebook as well. My Facebook live page is facebook.com/Cheryl Howard. I believe that's it. Or just look up for Cheryl Howard. Get your life back. Thank you again, guys. I'm going to go back inside. This was a great little break during lunchtime. And until next time, have a good day.